All right, so now we're gonna find the 5 number summary by hand and check the outlier rule by hand. So this is my beef sandwiches. I put them in order, I wrote them down. There are 12 sandwiches, right? My last number is 43, list 2, last number is 12. So this is even, it's gonna be a little bit different. If I'm trying to find my median is gonna be at the 12 plus 1 over 2 place, which is 6.5. That means it's halfway between the 6th and the 7th number. So I'm gonna go down my list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here, right, you can check visually. Does this look like the same amount of stuff as that? It does. So my median is right here. It's 26 grams of fat. Now I have a lower half and an upper half. To find the Q1, I'm going to find the middle of the lower half. There are 6 numbers in my lower half. So if I'm doing this again, I'm going 6 plus 1 over 2 gives me a 3.5. That makes sense. Right here is how I cut this whole section in half, right? So now my Q1 is going to be halfway between 19 and 23, so 21. Whatever happened in the lower half will happen in the upper half in terms of positioning. So we got 6 numbers. I'm going to break them into equal parts right there. So I have groups of 3. That doesn't always happen. It's not always even. So Q3 is between 29 and 29, also easy. Okay, so now we're going to calculate whether we have an outlier. Heads up, we have an outlier. So the rule was Q1 minus 1.5 IQR. Also, check the boundary on the upper end, Q3 plus 1.5 IQR. So to do that, I'm going to grab my Q1 and my Q3. That's kind of all I need, 21 and 29. Just I tend to try to stay organized, right? So we got Q1. I'm going to write it down. It is 21. Q3 is 29. My first job is to find the IQR. Subtract 29 minus 21. So 8 grams of fat. 1.5 IQR, just on your calculator, do 1.5 times 8. It's going to be 12. And that's the number I'm going to be adding and subtracting here. So bottom boundary is going to be lower quartile minus this number we just got. Upper boundary is going to be the upper quartile, 299, plus the same amount. And then we're going to write down what we have. These are the boundaries, and you want to pass these boundaries to have an outlier. So on the bottom end, we're going to check, do we have anything smaller than 9? We have a 9, but it's not outside the boundary, so it's fine. It can stay on the graph. 41, we have an outlier. All right, so we have an outlier. 43 is an outlier because it's past the boundary. Right, so we have an outlier. So what's going to happen is when we graph this guy, we're going to have to separate the 43 from the rest of the graph. Now, I've already seen what this looks like on my box plot on my calculator, so I know I have to say, yes, I have an outlier. So I'm going to graph both of those graphs. Do side-by-side box plot. Sometimes when you do these by hand, weird, bizarre things happen from transferring over from the calculator. So I just want to show you what I would recommend when you do these. So heads up, this is the beef sandwiches. This is the one we just did. So I am going to put marks up here for minimum, number 9, maximum, and all the things I collected. So minimum, Q1, median, Q3. Heads up, outlier is a little funky. So this is going to be, since this is an outlier, this is going to be the last number on the box plot. So even though it's not a special number, it's going to be where the box plot stops at 31. So my minimum was 9. So I'm doing vertical marks for all of these. Minimum was 9. Q1 is 21. Median is 26. Q3 is 29. And then my last number that is on my box plot is a 31. And then my 43 is an outlier, and that gets to be a dot. That gets to be all by itself. And then over here I have 5 marks. The middle 3 you connect with a box. That's the box plot part of the box plot. And then these are the whiskers. Heads up. I'm going to connect the middle of the bar out to the edges. Please don't draw right through there. These are fat content of sandwiches, and they're in grams. So that's my beef, and then I'm going to put the other one on as well. I got my numbers. So we're going 9, 15, 19, 24.5, 33. That one doesn't have any outliers. So this is going to be chicken or fish. So again, 9, 15, 19, 24.5, and 33. And then heads up, guys, sometimes when you look at your calculator and then you try to put it on your paper, the graph kind of warps. So make sure you actually do the graph from scratch, start with the x-axis first, and make everything properly spaced. Otherwise, it looks funky.